summer. I know some of you are on vacation, so I hope you're having a great vacation and still thinking about chess occasionally. One of my students sent me some like ancient chess sets from a museum they went to in China, so I thought that was pretty awesome. So yeah, it's been a long time since I made a game analysis video. I also would like to kind of get those tournaments started up again if there is any interest from students. I know we used to get like a pretty good turnout for that, and it'd be awesome if we could get that started back up. So anyway, like I was saying, I'm playing a daily chess game against a good friend and strong player, Eric Wilson. Yeah, like we've had some very interesting games in the past. We definitely have, I'd say, very aggressive styles. Probably Eric's style is a bit more aggressive than my style these days, although in the past it was, I used to have a much more aggressive style, I'd say, but a little bit more positional these days. Um, so anyway, so yeah, I had one of my students who's asking me like, well, what's the point of daily chess? He's like, I get bullet chess, I get blitz chess, I get rapid chess, I understand classical chess. He's like, what's this? You get multiple days to make a move. And while I was playing this game, I was thinking the same thing. I said, why am I doing this? Why am I torturing myself with analyzing these variations in so much detail? But in all seriousness, you do learn a lot, I feel like. And yeah, you can grow as a chess player a lot from playing these longer time control games. So let's dive into it. I anticipate that this analysis is going to be quite long. So hopefully, if you don't want to watch it all in one sitting, that's okay, of course. So I decided to play the English opening. Like I said, I'm definitely more of like an E4 player, more aggressive approach. But I've been trying to branch out a little bit. I think C4 is kind of a fun alternative. And it's a good opening, right? First of all, English is a very good opening. As you'll see in this game, since I'm not like that familiar with the sharpest lines of the English, I kind of went for some quieter lines. Which is kind of standard. Like when you don't really know opening that well, you do have a tendency to avoid the sharpest lines because you don't know if you're getting crushed in those lines or not. So yeah, black played knight f6 here, and basically we can transpose back into a queen's pawn opening if I play d4, and they can go for like a Nimzo Indian. They can go for, basically everything's on the table here. They can go for a queen's gambit. They can go for a Grunfeld. They can go for king's Indian defense, which is e4 here. I mean, basically everything is still on the table here. But I decided to play knight c3. D4 is really not in the spirit of the English opening. But again, if I want to get out of the English opening, I could have done that. So now Eric played e5, which basically, I guess technically I could still play d4. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense to get a position like this, I don't think, where black gets this free tempo on the queen here. So yeah, so now we're basically what's called a reverse Sicilian. So if you think about Sicilian defense like this, yeah, we basically have the reverse of this position. So it's basically like I'm playing the black side of the Sicilian, but I have an extra tempo. So that's a good way of thinking about the English. So I played knight f3 here. Like one of the things that I think good English players have to know is like what to do after moves like e4. I thought e4 here was just loses a pawn as far as I could see with like queen c2, and I think I'm just netting this pawn on e4. But this is something like when I say like I'm avoiding the sharpest lines, there's a lot of variations where black can play early e4, and those are probably the lines that if I do really want to take up the English more seriously, these are the lines I have to learn and kind of memorize. So knight c6. Yeah, now we're kind of like in this funny four knights variation of like reverse Sicilian. Yeah, we have the pattern, right, where these knights are fighting for the same two central squares. Same thing with the knights on f6 and c3 here. So I played d4. Yeah, which I guess like this move actually, in retrospect, it doesn't feel so timid because I feel like I played the opening a little bit too passively. And I don't think I got too much out of the opening. But this move does feel aggressive. And I think my idea here, and unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to remember all the lines that I was analyzing because I was really looking at a lot of different lines. But I think what I looked at again was probably something like this, and this nets the pawn. Whether there's some line with bishop b4, this might be an idea also. I'm not 100% sure. Was there another move? Oh, actually, now I think I remember better. I think after this move, I was just planning to go knight to e5, and I thought I had a pleasant position here. So, like for example, if take knight moves, I can win the pawn on e4. Like I thought something like this, for example, and I thought I was probably slightly better here. Although, yeah, maybe nothing to write home about. Just maybe a very tiny advantage for white, I would say, because I have some control of the center that black does not have based on this pawn on c4. So I think that's what I was intending to do. But Eric decided to take. bishop c5. And I feel like this is very much in Eric's style. He just got like very concrete play here. He developed a bishop, and he is threatening to win the piece, right? There's two attackers and only one defender on the knight here. And I thought if I played like knight takes c6, I thought I could really start getting into some serious trouble here. Like you could just feel like black's pieces are better. First of all, they have better development. Like this d5 pawn break is probably coming at some point. Maybe bishop a6 is an idea at some point. I just like, I don't know. I just felt like this is quite good for black already. And this is one of those positions where you really could just get dominate right at the opening. Because like there's a tactics on like f2, and I'm not saying that white should just get destroyed here. I don't think it's that dire, but just like one line that might be worth looking at is if I play bishop g5. We have this very nice tactic here. So remember, this knight is in what we call a relative pin, meaning the knight can move, not an absolute pin. So we always have this cool bishop takes f2, followed by knight g4 with check. And after black picks up the queen, they're just in a completely winning position. And usually I also like to teach discover checks here. So like if white goes h3, knight e3, and this is game over because the king is in check and the queen on d1 is under attack. So anyway, so I wanted to avoid this position. So I played e3 and Eric played queen e7. So again, this is very much in what, when you play against someone for a lot of games, you start picking up some tendencies they have. So basically the point is to pin the e-pawn and renew the threat of taking on d4 and winning a piece here, because this pawn is not defending the knight due to the pin. I did feel like this move was a little bit of a cheapo, to be honest, because I did want to go bishop e2 and castle anyway. So I don't know if, I feel like maybe black should have just castled here or played d6. Yeah, I thought queen e7 was definitely a little bit of a cheapo. Also, the other thing I didn't like about the queen being on e7 is there were some lines I was calculating with knight d5, and it was always nice that I get to pick up a tempo on the queen in some of these variations. So castle, rook e8. And yeah, so rook e8. So first thing we should probably notice about this move is it's very important that my knight defends the bishop on e2. So like, let's say if I play a random move, let's say take. And if the knight's not guarding the bishop on e2, then perhaps black can just go like bishop takes and just pick up a pawn here and probably be much better. Although, yeah, why I'm hesitating here, so again, like this doesn't even make sense to analyze because the knight is defending the bishop, but why I'm hesitating is I was just wondering if there's going to be some tricks with rook e1 at the end. Let's say like bishop g5, for example. But again, I mean, it's totally useless to analyze this anyway because this just hangs the queen. But that's like something that was really important to me after rook e8 is once I realized the knight defends the bishop, I felt a lot calmer here. So during the game, I believe my first instinct was to play a move like bishop to f3. But then I realized like this is kind of silly because I think just knight e5, probably bishop, so if black can pick up the two bishop advantage, I think black is already doing quite well. They're also threatening to win the pawn here. So if I want to keep, if I don't want to give away the two bishop advantage and I want to defend the pawn, I should go back. And I thought after something like this, black just has a really, really easy game. So that was kind of my first instinct, was to play bishop f3. So I was kind of stuck here. I was like, what do I do? My other instinct was I want to play a move like bishop d2 just to continue my development, but this also fails because I just lose a pawn here. And same thing with, I was also analyzing moves like queen to c2, but same problem. I need to defend the knight here. So then I thought, well, it makes sense with this pawn on e3 to fianchetto this bishop, right? Because this bishop is stuck inside the pawn chain. So I thought if I get the bishop to b2, this would be a really nice diagonal for the bishop, which ended up being kind of the home for the bishop for the whole game. So I played this move a3, and I figured that Eric would play a5 here. There's probably an argument he could have played a6 and allowed this expansion and done something like this. From a human perspective, this feels really comfortable for white to have this nice space advantage. And if Eric would have allowed me this, I would have been very happy. So during the game, and like if he does nothing, if he plays like d6 here, his bishop's in a pretty precarious spot here. I don't think I'm trapping it anytime soon, but it's definitely like, I definitely have everything I want as white in this position. So the reason I'm explaining all this is when I played a3, I was quite sure that black would play a5. Now, where I think some of the more advanced players can learn from here is who's benefiting from the inclusion of a3, a5? This is a very tough and interesting chess question, I think. So the way I'm analyzing this, again, after a3, I was pretty confident that the best move for black would be to play a5. So what I'm thinking here is after a3, I'm losing some control of the b3 square. When black plays a5, they're losing control of the b6 and b5 square. When I say lose control, not fully lose control, but partially, because the pawn can't attack those squares anymore. So what I'm trying to think about is, well, who does that favor? At first, I was pretty sure that this favored white, because my idea was I wanted to play like knight b5. I wanted to punish kind of this queen e7 move because the c7 pawn is undefended. And after a5, knight b5, there's no way to kick the knight away anymore. So my first thought was, I don't see how black can take advantage of the b3 square, but I immediately could take advantage of the b5 square. But then where I went a little bit wrong here in my calculation was my first impression was I thought I had this really cute idea of playing knight a4 here. And the reason why I like this idea is I realized that I can win the bishop pair. If the bishop goes to b6, I take. If it goes to a7, I take. And I thought, this was my initial plan. I thought, well, this looks quite good for white here. I'm like, again, this isn't like a idea that's going to win you the game by itself, but I feel like I'm building up a tiny advantage if I can get the two bishops. But what really dissuaded me is, again, this very simple pattern that these knights are fighting for the same two central squares. And once I go knight a4, black can play knight e4 here. And then it dawned on me that this b3 square is quite relevant, because if black can play a4 and knight b3, I think this is worth more than the two bishop advantage, because my pieces are just very tied down. Black has this nice space advantage, and yeah, I thought this would be unpleasant. And maybe I could go a4 to stop that plan, but then knight b4. Like now, black has access to the b4 square. I can't do anything about that. I could give away the bishop, for example, but then I lost my two bishop advantage anyway, and I don't think I have any. I think I have no ideas in the position, really. I don't think I have anything to really play for. So what I'm trying to explain is that this a3, a5 inclusion is very important. Like, just thinking about this will, even if you don't come to the right answers, just thinking about this will really increase your chess understanding and make you a better player in the long run. So I thought this was like one of the more interesting moments of the game, was including this a3, a5. Because it's always a debate, like who's benefiting from this. Because on the one hand, black's gaining more space, I'm gaining less space, I'm only moving the pawn one square. But on the other hand, I feel like I'm gaining access to more squares. Okay, so we had d6. So if I play knight takes c7, the queen will take, of course. And then I played b3 here. So yeah, the point of b3 was to play bishop b2, of course. I don't think... I was considering other moves here. So we talked about knight a4, and again, I think knight a4 is the move I originally intended, but that fails. Fails is a strong word, but I didn't like it so much after knight e4. I wasn't sure about this. I wasn't sure about this pawn structure configuration. I wasn't sure about this configuration here. I feel like this is one of those things where the longer you play the English, the more confident you'll be, like if this is okay or not. I kind of just decided it should be fine. Like, I thought my b3 pawn might be a tiny bit weak. I didn't see how black could easily attack this pawn, though, and I thought with the queen defending it, it should be fine. But there was definitely like some drawbacks to this move for sure, and yeah, just I feel like my structure is a little bit shaky here. So knight to e5 from Eric, very logical move. He's trying to play c6 and kick the knight away. And also, if like black can never get c6, d5 in. Yeah, I do think black is pretty close to full equality here. And again, I feel like maybe it's because I played the opening a little bit too timidly, but also give credit for black finding some good ideas. So I played knight d5 here. I don't remember why I didn't play bishop to b2. So that's another thing that's a little bit frustrating with these correspondence games, is you really have a lot of time to analyze your decisions, but sometimes you can't remember all the things you were looking at. So I think after bishop b2, I was a little bit worried about c6. I mean, I think c6 is, I don't think there's really anything else that black would even really consider here. Knight d4. And yeah, I thought the knight on d4 kind of blocks my bishop anyway. Yeah, I just feel, yeah, again, I wish I remember a little bit more of what I was thinking here, but I didn't really see how I'm generating much of an advantage here. And then, yeah, I think at some, like d5, I don't know if d5 is a little bit early, but I thought at some point, like d5 is going to happen. I was also, another move maybe I was a little bit worried about was just bishop g4. And I thought if black could just start trading off some pieces, that would also be good for them. Like one thing is if I play like f3 here, which seems like a very natural move, I'm picking up a tempo. This pawn on e3 is a little bit of a weakness, and this was an important square for pretty much the whole game. We'll dive into some of those variations here soon. So I decided to play knight to d5 here. I think the other idea behind knight d5 was just to make it a little bit tougher to get this c6 move in. Bishop f5. Maybe black should have just played c6 here anyway. Again, I really wish I remember what my thought process was, because I do feel like this was a critical, not critical, but I felt like this position was already getting quite interesting. I think after c6, my idea was to play knight c3 here, and yeah, this was my idea. And if black were to take, then I get this beautiful outpost for the knight on d5. So I don't think black would take here, but then the question is how, like, what does black do next? And I didn't really see an easy way to continue. I didn't like the move that Eric played here, though, at all, bishop f5. So a couple of things I didn't like about this move is, first of all, the bishop is unprotected. So we always want to be careful when we move our bishop to unprotected squares. And then the other thing is, I thought there was going to be some tricks where black would sacrifice something on e3, which, again, I'll cover these lines more when they kind of appear in the game. But none of these lines really, I don't think any of these lines worked anyway, but now you can't even kind of pretend that you're making this work. Because after, let's say, take the rook is, and again, this will make more sense when we kind of get to those specific positions where there was more pressure on this pawn here. So anyway, so I played bishop to b2, c6, take and take. One thing is, so this position is also kind of very interesting position. When I played this move, I was very disappointed how quickly Eric took here. I really thought he would, at least explore these variations a little bit more. Not saying he didn't, by the way, but I thought there were some very interesting positions here. Again, maybe he just kind of correctly figured out that none of this works for him, but there was some very interesting lines. I really thought he would take more time exploring some of these moves. And yeah, again, I wish I could remember more of the details myself here. It's kind of bumming me out that I don't remember more of the position here. Yeah, what else was I analyzing? Because there was a lot to look at. Oh, I think this was a line. There was something like this that I was thinking Eric should at least explore this. Again, I did evaluate all this as being good for better for white. But I was just like curious, if he could get anything going with a 2 bishop advantage, if he could push like e4. Like there was some, maybe like in retrospect, I understand more like why Eric didn't think about these. Or again, I'm just assuming that because he moved quickly. Maybe he just analyzed all this very fast. But it felt to me like he just he didn't seriously consider this move. I feel like he just decided to take the knight here. And the reason why I feel like he should have seriously considered this move is after this capture, like, white has a pretty clear advantage, I think, in terms of pawn structure. I have this 5 pawn versus 4 pawn, and basically, as soon as I got this position in the game, my plan was quite clear: trade off all the pieces and see if I can win this endgame with this 5 versus 4 majority on the. I'm going to say this as king side. I don't know if that's accurate though, because technically these pawns are on the queen side. But just like on the right, like this side of the board, right, we have 5 pawns versus 4. So I thought that's a pretty clear advantage. I didn't see how black could create a pass pawn with this 3 versus 2, and unless they did some pawn sacrifices, which we'll also talk about soon. So here I had a tough decision whether I should go bishop to c3 or bishop to b2. I was also analyzing bishop g3 because I thought this pawn on d6 was a weakness. But the reason why I rejected it is it seemed very tough for this bishop to get back in the game. Like, how do I get this bishop? Like, the bishop's basically just on this half of the board on the king side here. I see no way to really get it back in the game. Like, I can't go bishop h4, it's hanging. I would like to maybe play like f3, bishop f2, and e4, but this e3 pawn is just such a weakness. It's very tough to figure out how to do that. And then also this will also be a good time to talk about the bishop e3 concept. So anyway, I basically boiled this down to bishop c3 and bishop b2. I briefly considered bishop d4 as well, but I thought my bishop should be better than black's bishop here. This bishop's a very tough piece to figure out because it looks like it's a solid piece, but I don't see how this bishop error can improve. And the game, I think this bishop turned out to be a tough piece for black to navigate. So that was like, that was one reason why I decided against trading the bishops, even though my long-term plan was to simplify the position and try to go into this endgame where I have this pawn majority on the king side. So one thing about bishop c3 was there was bishop takes a5 here, take b4, and yeah, this might have been something I just didn't like. I don't know, like here there's two double pawns for black, which seems like it should be an advantage for white. But one thing I didn't like is this a3 square is kind of a nice square for black. They can go rook a3 and put pressure on this b3 pawn. And like I mentioned earlier, like this b3 pawn is kind of my one weakness in some of these positions. And it just felt like black had a pretty easy route to attacking it. So that was one reason why I rejected bishop c3. Like even this position here, now I remember something like this. I was thinking, can I go like bishop d2, queen e1, and try to win the b4 pawn? But I just kept running into this rook a3 move. And like as soon as I saw rook a3, maybe like again, maybe an engine will think this is fine. Maybe this pawn on a3 is a weakness. But it felt like it feels like suddenly black has pretty clear play here. But yeah, I could be wrong about all this. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe this is just good for white. Maybe black can better time this rook a3 move better also. But yeah, I just kept running into this rook a3 move. Maybe black should wait for white to play something like queen a1 first, and then go rook a3, and then just try to pick up the b3 pawn. I'm not sure, but I kind of like. I thought white's position is pleasant here, but I really didn't see that like a way to build a huge advantage. So ultimately, I just decided for bishop b2. I thought, well, this bishop on b2 should be a little bit better than the bishop on c5. It has this beautiful diagonal. And yeah, like my play is very straightforward. Just see if we could trade off some pieces and try to punish black a little bit, because this 3 versus 2 majority, they have the double b pawns, which makes their structure a little bit weak here. So Eric played b4, which made a lot of sense. I'm threatening just to take the pawn on b5. I thought queen d7 might be a move also. I didn't have like a specific refutation for this move, but it felt a little bit slow, I thought. Yeah, that's really... And then, also I was planning to go like queen d2 and then play b4. I thought if I could play b4 on my terms, then this would be pretty good for white. So that's probably another reason why queen d7 I think was rightfully rejected by Eric here. So b4, a4, and like I said, okay, so I would be much more comfortable with this position if there was no b5. You might think, well, b5 now doesn't make any sense. You have full control of that square. But I'm just thinking more like long term, because if the pawn structure is locked up on the queen side, then this 5 versus 4, like I basically just have like a free play here. I don't have to worry about anything on the queen side. But since black does have b5, like a4 sacrifices in the position still, it's not like so simple to say I'm just like only playing on the king side. I do have to pay a little bit of attention to the queen side still. So queen g5, this is a very Eric move. I was wondering, like I was expecting her to play this move earlier. I don't really see what this move is doing. Like I guess he wants to go like bishop to h3 and threaten mate, or bishop e4. So it's just a very Eric move to play, but I didn't really see why I should be worried about it. So I played rook c1 with the idea of going rook c4. And after bishop h3, I was planning to go bishop to f3. And I think this is fine. And then I'll probably just go like king h1, and the bishop will have to move back at some point. And if he went bishop e4, okay, he went bishop g6. If he went bishop e4, I was planning to play bishop f3 here. And yeah, and then I was going to play rook c4 at some point in the near future. And like the idea is, if I can ever get the rook to g4 safely, I'm basically winning the game, because I'm going to target the g7 pawn. That's the main idea I have in the position. I want to put more pressure on g7, so rook c4 and rook g4 I thought was a nice way to do it. So when Eric played bishop to g6 here, this move caught my attention because I wasn't expecting it. But I started to really appreciate this move more. I thought Eric's plan was to go f5 and f4 because, again, this bishop is such an interesting piece. At the moment, it's not really that good because it just runs into my pawn. But if this pawn, like let's say, takes or advances to f4, this bishop can all of a sudden become a very, very strong piece here. So that's what I thought Eric's plan was. So I played rook c4, and then there was some interesting lines here. So one line I saw that was very interesting is, let's say f5. Oh, the other idea behind rook c4 was I wanted to play h4. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show this line. I thought this was very interesting. So I was gonna, like, let's say I play queen c1, and the only way, like, I just want to show like why I'm even considering these moves. I don't think any of this works for black anyway, even right from the beginning. But I just want to show the class because it's really interesting. So if rook takes e3, I think I easily can refute this move. No, hold on. So rook takes e3, and if I go rook takes c5, there's rook takes e2. So this move, rook takes e3, it actually is quite interesting. So the idea is if I take with the pawn, take with the double attack on the king and the queen, let's say king h1, take, and bishop takes c1. So at first it seems like, isn't black better? Drop 3 points here, they just won my queen. But now what I was analyzing is, isn't the black queen also potentially trapped here? I say potentially because I do have this move f4. But I wonder if Eric was like, one thing that can be a little bit frustrating in chess game is if your opponent isn't calculating the lines you are, but your opponent's still like smart enough just on intuition or, you know, just positional understanding to avoid these tricks. But I was like, I'm really curious if Eric was thinking about some of these ideas that I was considering here. Because yeah, I thought this would be really cute to trap the queen this way. And like after f4, I think after just say rook takes f4, I believe I'm better here because I think rook f8 is a big threat here. Again, I haven't looked at any engine lines at all. The only information I have is at the end of the game, I missed a winning line apparently. The game ended up being a draw, and Eric did mention that to me in a text message. So that's really the only information I have as according to like any engine lines. Everything else, this is just the stuff I was seeing during the game here. So yeah, I think this position is winning because the queen is still trapped. Like if they go bishop anywhere, let's say bishop f7, I can take, and the queen is not trapped anymore, but now I think my position is better. It's not easy to convert this, by the way. I mean, you know, a queen, as a very strong player said, a queen is a queen, so I still have to, you know, be very careful. But this was just some interesting lines I was calculating during the game. And if Eric doesn't play f5 here, let's say he plays like a move like rook e7 with the idea of doubling up the rooks, then I think this is even like, yeah, this is even cooler. Like this, because this one just traps the queen, I believe. Yeah, here the black queen is just completely trapped. And I thought this was such a beautiful, beautiful idea. And yeah, I don't understand why Eric doesn't just let me win the game the way I want to. Like, why is he, you know, why is he putting up the best defense and not letting me just get exactly what I want? But in all seriousness, I just thought this line was super cool. I thought this was like such an interesting idea. And there's another line here. When I played rook c4, I was also thinking about queen d2. The point of queen d2 is I just wanted to get more defense on the f4 square. That was kind of the main idea. And then the reason why I rejected this is for a bad reason. I thought that here black can play rook takes e3, and it didn't dawn on me until after I played rook c4 that I could just play rook takes c5 here. And yeah, I missed this for some reason. And then there's some cool lines here, like the queen is not defended by anything, so black could play like rook g3 here. But after just take, and the rook moves anywhere, I'm just up a piece here for a pawn and should win the game. Like let's say here, and I mean it's actually not that simple because like for example, if I take here, there is rook d2 in the game. Probably is maybe black is back in the game actually. So it's actually not that simple. But yeah, I mean there's still some things to analyze. But I mean it is a whole piece here. Like even just bishop a1, and I think. Yeah, this should be a huge advantage for white, I would think. Yeah, they can't defend the b7 pawn. If they push, they lose the rook here. So anyway, yeah, these are just some interesting variations I was analyzing. And again, I just completely missed after queen d2. I had rook takes c5, which I should see, to be honest. That's a pretty elementary tactic. And by the way, the point of rook takes e3 is if take, bishop takes e3. And here, black is just better because there's no queen trap in this variation. So I'm not sure. I think rook c4 is probably slightly better than queen d2, but both these moves were definitely possible. So rook e4, I think this is a very strong move from Eric. To be honest, I feel like maybe when I play against him maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I don't think he would have had the knowledge to just kind of simplify. I don't know if he would have fully felt the danger. I could see him playing a move like f5 in the past, or a move like h5, which are reasonable moves. But I think rook e4 just kind of puts all my, like it stops all my plans. So I thought this was a very smart idea from Eric. So trade, and bishop f3. On the other hand, though, I am getting closer to my plan. So again, what I wanted to do was I wanted to liquefy the whole position, which means I want to get rid of these pieces, I want to get rid of these pieces, I want to trade off the queens and the rook, and I just want to go into this endgame. Because if I have this 5-on-4 pawn majority, I really thought I was the only one with any winning chances. Maybe black can defend the position, but at this level, because Eric's a very strong player, all I'm looking for is, can I get a position where I'm the only one playing for a win? That's what I want. And if that's not enough to win the game, that's a bummer, which kind of happened in this game. Although I did miss a win, apparently. I don't feel that bad about it because I didn't see the win. I saw the idea, but I couldn't calculate the whole thing. But that's all you want at this level, right? I just want to get positions where I'm the one pressing. Sometimes your opponent's going to play well defensively and hold the game, but sometimes they're going to crack and you're going to win the game. So that's all I was kind of hoping for. So here Eric played rook to e8. I was expecting f5 here. I think f5 is a very nice idea for black. The point is, after trade, my whole idea changes. Because remember, I'm playing for this 5 versus 4. This pawn on e4 is kind of like a thorn in my side, though. I can't really get f3 in, or f4 for that matter, because the e3 pawn hangs with check. So I thought this was a very logical way to play it. And it's very tough for me to actually attack this e4 pawn, which was also kind of annoying. Because if I go queen c2, queen takes d5. So my intention in this position, I don't know if I would have played it. I maybe would have came up with another idea. I was planning to play queen a1 here, though. And the point is, if queen takes d5, I have bishop takes g7. And if you do something like g6, then I thought bishop h8. I didn't actually see a win here, but I just, if I get this position, I'm extremely happy. So again, I didn't actually see any win, but I thought, yeah, I mean, I'm the one with all the attacking chances. And the whole point of queen a1 isn't really even to put so much pressure on this pawn. I really just want to go bishop d4. Because if I go bishop d4 here, then queen takes d5 and I just lose a pawn. So I want to play bishop d4, I want to play bishop d4, so I go queen a1. And let's just say if black plays some move like rook e8, which I thought was very logical with the idea of rook e7. I was planning to go bishop d4, and now if queen takes d5, bishop takes g7. Again, I feel like I'm having all the fun here. Whether it's enough to win, I don't know. This was very, very important to analyze. Again, I didn't actually see a win here, but I'm the one having all the fun here. Whether it's enough to win, I take it is. This is definitely one of those things when when I do put the engine on, I'm going to be very curious about this position here. Maybe queen takes b7. If queen takes a4, I have queen takes e4 check. Again, it's dangerous for white as well, because these passed pawns, if in this position, for example, these passed pawns are coming, but I have the much safer king. I think my pieces are pretty well coordinated. Oh, hold on. Did I just blunder my bishop here? Hold on, I just blundered my bishop. So yeah, I'm really not sure what's going on here. Yeah, maybe bishop d4 would not be the right move here, because maybe queen takes d5 is just too strong. So maybe I should play something like rook d1 first, and then try to go bishop d4. But yeah, again, timing is everything in chess. So here, maybe you could take here. I'm not. No, then there's bishop takes g7. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. This is getting very tricky. This might be good for black for all I know. So maybe queen a1 was a mistake, but that's the move I was leaning towards. So anyway, yeah, when Eric played rook e8, I understood this move completely because the rook on a8 is not doing much. But I just felt like this gives me, this allows me to get closer to my plan. My plan is, again, just to play with this 5 versus 4. That's it. There is a little bit of risk here. Black has some attacking chances. Because my first instinct, and in a blitz game, I think I would have played this without too much thought, is just to go queen f3. And the point is, after the reason why I didn't play queen d3 is I got a little bit nervous of rook g4, g3, and h5. This is what really kind of dissuaded me from playing queen d3, because I thought h4 is coming. I don't know. I started getting a bit nervous about my king safety here. Again, an engine might say this is nothing. What are you worried about? Just go for this. But I really started to think that black is getting some initiative here. And even though this bishop is a fantastic piece, it's not a fantastic piece for defense. It's not helping my king at all. So I just felt like there's kind of these 3 pieces attacking, and my pieces they're not ideal for defense. Again, I'm probably fine here is my guess, but there's definitely some attacking chances. Like I was even worried about maybe queen h5 and h3 is coming. It's just there's so many ideas here that I got a little bit nervous about. And that's kind of the funny thing when you have more time. Again, if I had less time, I would have played queen d3 and just kind of, I would have figured out, like I would have just gone for this. With a little bit more time, I played h3, which might be a worse move. But the point of h3 is just to prevent this rook g4 idea. That's pretty much the whole point. One funny line, though, I do want to put in the video is after queen d3, rook g4, I was actually wondering if I could just even allow rook takes g2. I was thinking I can go queen to b5 with this backring checkmate threat. And since I thought my position was a little bit easier to play with this pawn majority again, that's really my whole plan. I would have considered this more seriously if there wasn't a perpetual check here. So there's take, and the game just ends with a draw if black wants to draw here. So that's why I didn't, like, when you kind of go for these crazy lines, you're just looking for one reason why it doesn't work so that you can stop looking at the craziness. So I really don't know if this works. And I'm just looking for one variation for black to say, okay, you can't, this is not the right idea, because then I don't have to look at these wild ideas anymore. So I was pretty happy that like there is this perpetual check at the very least, and I could even be losing here, I don't know. But I was very happy that there's at least perpetual check so that I could stop analyzing this. And the reason why I think check draws a bad result for me is I do feel like I should play for advantage with this pawn majority. That's really all I'm banking on here. So I played h3. I don't remember if queen to, if rook h4, I wanted to play queen f3, so that was another reason why I played h3 is after rook h4, I just thought queen f3 just felt like a very natural square for the queen. I'm not saying it's the best, I'm not saying I'm doing all that much, but it feels like I'm getting something going here. Long term, I think I would like to try to play rook e1, e4, e5, and my queen just feels like it's on a pleasant square here was kind of my thought. So Eric played queen f5, which made sense. What was the idea here? Oh, I think the idea is if I go queen f3, he just takes on d5. That was okay. Hold on. I know I'm giving a lot of variations here. I hope this is not intimidating. But there was some funny lines that I wanted to show. So I was also analyzing queen f3 here, and I thought this was a really funny line. But there's kind of like this diamond shape here between the d5 square, the queen on f3, the rook, and the pawn. I thought this was really kind of a cute configuration. Here, and I get mated. So that was another reason why I played h3 was there was like a little part of me that thought I could maybe make something like this work if I had an escape square for the king. I never actually saw a line where this would work for white, but it was at least something that was kind of crossing my mind. So h3, okay, queen f5, queen d3, and queen g6. So here I started playing very fast. I was playing a bit slow here. I started using my vacation time, which I'm not sure how ethical that is in the correspondence game or daily game. So basically, since I'm a premium member, I get like a little bit of vacation time, meaning that after the 3 days is over, I can go into like I think I have like 11 days of vacation time left. I would prefer not to do that because we should adhere to the same time control. So I don't know. I don't know if Eric was a little bit bothered by that, but I probably should apologize because that is a little bit. I should try to move within the 3-day limit whenever I can. So Eric, the reason I'm mentioning all this is Eric started playing a little bit faster here, and I don't know if he was getting a little bit bored with the game or he wanted the game to speed up. Because I like queen f5. I didn't like queen f5, queen g6 because if you want the queen on g6, why not just put it here right away? So why play queen f5 and then go to g6? To me, that felt like a loss of tempo. Also, I think the moves that Eric were worried about, he didn't need to be. So let's say he plays a random move here. Like f3 is not a threat here because after take, rook e5 with the discover check, he just wins a free pawn here. I still think I'm probably okay here, to be honest, because of the double pawns. I don't think it's like a full pawn advantage, but I think everyone would prefer to be black here. Definitely don't want to play white. So I think he was a little bit too fearful of this, like, of attacking the rook here. Because it looks like it's a pin piece, but it's really not. Again, my queen is not protected either, so you could always go like rook f4 or rook e5. And I think everything is just fine for black. So you play queen g6. Yeah, there's an interesting line here. There's an interesting line where I play rook. What was the line? Oh, there was an interesting line here with rook. There was a line where the queen got. This is the line I was worried about. I was worried about g5 here. Okay, it was a line I wanted to show. So what I calculated here was after g5, my first instinct was to play rook e1 with the idea of going f3. So let's say g4, take f3, and I wanted this pawn defended twice with the rook and the queen. But I don't think this line is actually that good for white because of queen g3. So queen g3, and now if white takes, I'll take here with a check, and I'll win the pawn on e3 and black will have a better position. So that was my initial, like, I was really worried about this move g5. Yeah, now that I see the position again. Because when I played this move h3, I gave black what's called a hook. Basically, a hook means I gave my opponent something to attack. Okay, that's actually why I really like queen f5. I totally forgot about this idea, but I was super worried about this during the game. Yeah, I really like queen f5 with the idea of g5 and g4. Yeah, and that's what I thought Eric was going to do. But then instead of playing rook e1, I realized I have this move rook to c1, and the idea is that g4, take, and now I could play f3, I thought. Well, I can't. Oh, that was the idea. Sorry. I play rook takes c5 first. And then I play f3. This is what I calculated. Sorry. And I thought this line is very good for white because I'm going to be up a bishop at the end of the variation. Notice I can't. If I play f3 right away, then I think I'm in a very bad shape because of here. No, actually, maybe is this also good? Can I here? No, this is. Yeah, I don't have rook c8 here. The queen will take. So this is winning for black with the rook versus the bishop. Okay, so yeah, these are some interesting lines. So yeah, that's why I played rook c1 because that's what I was planning to play rook c1 because if g4 take and here and now I think I'm just winning after f3 because I don't think is there perpetual? No, there's no perpetual check. Or is there? Might be perpetual check. I don't know. Even this looks kind of tricky, but no. But this should be winning for white here. So I'm threatening mate, and now I'm threatening to support the. Yeah, this should be winning for white. So anyway, so yeah, when Eric played queen g6, I just thought, well, this first of all, like all the variations I was nervous about, I don't have to face them anymore. And again, I just thought if he's going to put the queen on g6, why did he go to f5 first? Like it just felt like a loss of tempo. So I played rook c1. Okay, b6. I really didn't like b6. After b6, this bishop's kind of a prisoner. One of the ideas I was looking for is to create an escape square at some point and then reroute the bishop this way to f6. That was one of the main ideas I was looking for. Like I thought that Eric might go for. But when he plays b6, his bishop is just completely entombed here. I think he was thinking I was going to play rook takes c5 and push. I never could get any of these ideas to work. I was definitely analyzing them, but they just never seemed to work out. So when he played this, I was surprised. So he played rook c4. I played rook c4. Yeah, this was an interesting moment. So basically what happened in the game was I got everything that I wanted, except the fact that this pawn is now a passed pawn, which is a big except. When I say except, this is huge. If I could get this position, but this pawn was still on b3, I think I have like, I think I'm close to winning there because black has no counterplay. I have this 5 versus 4. I feel like this is just very easy to play for white and very tough to play as black here. But the fact that Eric was able to get this passed pawn was huge. So what I'm trying to think about in retrospect, could I have gotten a position and keep the pawn on b3? But I don't see it. What I was thinking about doing was after take, I was thinking about this move. And I wanted to get this position here. This is what I was hoping for. And I think this also should be good for white. But like the other variation I kind of analyzed, which is similar, I never actually saw a win here. And maybe there is none. So yeah, but I was not unhappy with. But then I saw this move queen to d3. And once I saw this move, then I realized that this isn't going to work. Yeah, because at the very least, like again, black could have pretty much force a draw here. I think maybe I can go bishop c1. I'm not sure. It just felt very unnatural to walk into a pin, and then I'm taking my bishop off this beautiful diagonal. So this felt like I'm going in the wrong direction here as well. But maybe that was a way to play for a win. So when I played Rook C4, I was playing to the line I went for was exactly what I had calculated. So take here. And yeah, like again, I did everything that I wanted except I didn't realize I was going to have to allow this pass pawn, and that's a huge deal. I was even a little bit nervous allowing the pass pawn, but my bishop is just like perfect to stop the pawn. The pawn is just not going anywhere, and since this bishop it has no squares basically. I'm not really too worried. Like, and if the pawn goes to b3 and bishop b4, when my king gets to e2, this bishop still has no safe squares to move to. So this bishop is just like a very troubled piece at the moment. So he went g5, Eric. This move caught me off guard. I was expecting just king h7 and just run the king up. g5 putting the pawn on the dark square was very interesting because what you want to typically do is get your pawns on the opposite color square from your opponent's bishop. So I have a dark square bishop. Moving the pawn to a dark square was a little bit surprising. I was tempted to play a move like g4 just to kind of stop the king from having any entry squares. I almost played this move on a couple occasions, but I kept getting back to the fact that this g3 or h3 pawn, is just a backwards pawn. I thought maybe I can go king g3, h4 and eliminate that weakness. Maybe this was a plan, but I kind of like the way I played this better in the actual game. So I just decided to activate my king. Okay, here, king g6, e4. Yeah, so the point of e4 is I want to get this pawn break in because I want to turn this pawn into a pass pawn. So Eric played d6 here. Oh, when he played king g6, by the way, I was wondering if he should have just played f5 to kind of slow down my e4 plan. But I was thinking I could just do this anyway with like f3 and e4. So maybe playing f5 was unnecessary. So yeah, king here, e4, f6. And yeah, now you can see why I'm happy that I didn't play g4 because I decided to play g3 with the idea of f4. And again, like my only counterplay here is can I get this e5 pawn break in? And I think I can. Like once I get a pawn to f4, then I'll have enough control of the e5 square to push through e5 here. So we had king f7, f4, take, king g6. So he's not, like black has nothing they could do. They're just sitting back. And then, yeah, I start getting optimistic here. I feel like I have good chances to win, but I don't actually see a win. But what I like is all these pawns are on dark squares, and I have a dark square bishop. And the black king is really struggling for a plan here. So I played this move h4. There's a lot of reasons to not like this move h4. One, I'm moving the pawn closer to the king. The other is I'm putting my pawn on the dark square. It makes a potential target. But my idea is I want to get the pawn to h5, and I want to fix this pawn. So like one idea is, let's say if king h5, I think that's what Eric played, e5, and we're going to talk about this position in more depth as well. But one thing is, let's say if Eric plays king g6 here, the game's over. I play e6, and then my next move is I go h5 because I want to get the king out of the square. And there's nothing that can be done here. Let's say bishop g1. Like there's literally nothing that black can do to save the game. They're completely lost. E7, e8, and I get a queen here. So that was the idea behind h4. Is I saw that this h5 move could be very useful. Again, it's very double-edged because maybe there's an argument to just play e5 right away. Why not be a little bit more concrete? It's a tough decision. But I decided to go h4 because, again, I saw this plan. If king f7, I go h5, and I'm fixing the pawn here. Because if they go g6 here, I thought h6. I really like my winning chances here. I think this is, this might be winning for white here because I'm going to push the pawn, deflect the king away from f7, or f6, excuse me, take the f6 pawn, push through e5, and I have very good winning chances there. I thought maybe it's already winning. So that was my idea. So Eric played king h5. I wasn't really worried about the king taking the pawn. So here I played e5, and I was really shocked that Eric took with the f pawn here. I saw some really cool lines like this. The reason I was shocked is why not give your opponent at least the impression that you're going to go f5 here? Why not at least like give them that to think about? So I thought Eric should. I thought the engine might say that these are exactly the same move. But from a human perspective, you should take with the d pawn here. I'd say every time, just again because you still have the option of going for this, which happened in the game anyway, and then you just give your opponent this concern with f5. Now I feel like Eric was just probably very worried about these two pass pawns, which he should be. But these pawns are kind of tough to push. It's not so obvious. Like what do I do here? Like if I go e6, for example, this bishop kind of stops this forever. Like I don't see how I'm getting to e7. Yeah, like I think the king would just go back to g6 or something. Actually, maybe. Hold on. For some reason, I discounted this. Maybe this is stronger than I thought. Um, yeah, something like this. I think this should be. I think this should be fine for. Maybe not. Maybe this is just very good for me. Huh. All right. Maybe that's why I didn't go for it. There was some interesting. Like, I rejected e6. The move I was going to play here was d6, but e6 looking better. Just one line I wanted to show I think is pretty interesting is let's say if f4 here, I could go bishop d4. And this is just a great line. And then if b3, take. No, hold on. Yeah, take. This might be a draw. But one cool line is that black can't take the bishop because I have a checkmate. So I was seeing all these kind of really interesting ideas here. Yeah, maybe this is okay. b3. Oh, hold on. b3, king. Hold on. King e2. Okay, this was. Oh no, this is what I was looking at. This is what I was looking at. f2. Yeah, this is the one I was looking at. Take f2, queen, and I win the game because of this checkmate. That was like, yeah, I just thought that was such a cool line. So yeah, like again, I think that this move is bad for black, but at least black should make me think about it. Like that was my feeling during the game. And then there was a whole bunch of lines here. I thought king g4 is also a move. Oh no, hold on. D6 first. D6, king g4. Like I was looking at so many lines here. Take 3. Yeah, there were so many lines that I was looking at. And then here I just queen first and I win the game. Yeah, there were so many lines. So maybe Eric was right to reject f5, but again, I felt like he should have at least like left open the possibility. So here, I don't think you could take on h4. This was also very important. So here, but I don't think I actually ever saw a win here. But this no, hold on, this has to be winning. Like I was a little. Oh the king's in check. I didn't even see that. Okay, should have. I did see that in the very end of my calculation. So here, yeah, this is winning. I saw this. Okay, this I saw. Maybe I miscalculated this somewhere, but yeah, this is an easy win because of the passed a pawn here. And notice that when my king went to e2, I got inside the square of the pawn here. I should have mentioned that earlier, but that was also an important. That was one of the main reasons to go king e2 is just make sure I can always catch up to this passed pawn here. So yeah, it was nice that Eric couldn't take the pawn on h4, so he went king g6. I went h5. So yeah, h5. Okay, so this is going to be the same, except when I get my bishop here, it's not going to be with check. So this was also very important to analyze. Also, oh, another thing is I don't actually have to promote right away. That was another thing that I should mention. Like I was also just thinking about taking here because like this move is not going anywhere. But let's say I do promote right away. Also, like this is instructive. Yeah, like this is more unclear because if I go, like I believe this is winning, but like it's definitely more unclear what's going on here. And I might like I'm just kind of playing this from memory, so I could definitely be making some mistakes. But yeah, you can't go like, or can you go king d3? No, I think this was too slow if I recall. Probably, how did we win this exactly? Probably queen c2. Yeah, this should be the answer. Yeah, this should be the way to do it. It's very tough because the normal pattern is that queen will go to a4, but I don't have access to that square here. So this is not so easy how to win this actually. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, I don't want to just have a bunch of dead air on the video. It's going to sound very boring if I'm not saying anything. But I actually can't. I don't actually. I think this has to be winning, but I don't actually see where's the win here. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I see the win immediately. Sorry, I haven't used the engine at all. I'm just really curious about this. Queen c2 again, king a1. But the engine's not showing any progress. Where's the, okay, king d3? I was wondering about this. Yeah, so we take, okay, I was wondering about that. And okay, that makes sense. King c4. Yeah, okay, that's actually not so tough to find. Okay, should have been able to find that. But anyway, like these are the variations I had to see, like all the way back here, and that I was just going insane. Like even with 3 days to analyze, like these were all the things I was trying to figure out. And yeah, like you see there, even when I got to the position, it wasn't so obvious like how to win it. So anyway, but yeah, I thought after h5, I didn't think the pawn could be taken. So here, okay, king d3, improve the king's position. Okay, I thought Eric might go for this. So I think the idea is just to go bishop f6. Like let's say I play a move like this, bishop f6, and if take, take, and since black has a pass pawn and white has a pass pawn, this should be a pretty easy draw. Like I don't think the king ever has time to go over this way because this pawn will march. And same thing, the white king can't really leave the square because then the black king will march. So that was I think a very good drawing idea from Eric, was to try to get the bishop to f6 here. So what I played here was d6, and I think this is a very strong move because if bishop f6 here, I think d7 just wins the game now. Yeah, because my idea is to go bishop c7. Maybe you can go bishop d8. This actually is similar to what happened in the game. So maybe game over is too strong, but at least I'm just trying to stop this. I'm trying to stop this bishop f6 idea and exchanging the bishops, because I need this bishop and some variations to control the b2 square. So here, okay, d7. Afterwards, I felt like this move was a bit impulsive. Another piece of information is Eric did tell me this was the best move in our little chat discussion after the game, text message. Yeah, but I really feel like if I could have kept my king to d7, maybe it would have been easier to win. So I don't know if this is also winning. This might be the computer's best move, but from a human perspective, maybe I should have been a bit more patient here. It's tough, right? Because it feels so natural. And only after I played this move did I see this bishop d8 and g6 setup. What I thought was going to happen was something like king to e6, and then I was going to get this position here, which is yeah, which I thought was, again, even this isn't super easy to win, but I thought like I'll get, because the king can march up, but I thought I'd get some position. Should I probably go here? I thought I'd get some position like yeah, some setup like this where I get the pawn, and then once I get the pawn, I should have very little problems winning this position. And if he doesn't, if they don't go b4, let's say they go here. Yeah, like even this isn't so easy. Okay, then I will go here to stop the king from going back, and then I'm trying to get the pawn to move. That's what I'm trying to do. And if the pawn doesn't move, let's say they go king here, then yeah, like now my king is starting to infiltrate. Eventually they're gonna have to go b3, and then I just bring the bishop back, and they're gonna run out of moves eventually, I believe. Oh, I don't want to trade this pawn, right? Because I have the wrong color bishop for the a pawn. So even this isn't like so obvious how I win. I think no, I think I just do something like this, and I stop the king from getting to, yeah. Now like once my king gets to c6, then I think it's a pretty easy win. And as long as my bishop still controls the b2 square, which it is, I'm fine here. And yeah, once I get something like this, the game should be over now. So yeah, so I thought this is looking great. Again, I thought just king e7, king e6. These were the only moves I was really analyzing. And then again, like I said, after I played d7, I immediately saw this bishop d8. I said this is really annoying, and I got pretty frustrated because I didn't think this was winning. I analyzed this pitch. I looked at this 100 times in my mind easily. Just keep going back and forth, trying to find the win. I just couldn't do it. Eric told me that 8-6 is winning, but this is of course the move I want to play. This is my first choice. The reason why I didn't go for this though is I actually feel like I have some losing chances all of a sudden with this past G pawn and past B pawn. I'm a little bit nervous that I could lose this. So in this position, King G8 is forced because I'm threatening just H7, H8. So King G8 is forced. My original idea was to go King D5, but I figured King H7. I don't know if I have to defend the pawn. Okay, but it seemed natural I should defend the pawn. Then we go something like B3. Just to make sure the bishop keeps an eye on the pawn here. So if I go King C6, again, I started getting very nervous after stuff like G5. Apparently I'm too slow here, apparently black is too slow is what Eric told me. I couldn't figure it out. Like even now looking at it, I don't understand why. Like maybe this is just winning for white, and I just had to go for it. Probably this is what I should have gone for. But even seeing it, it doesn't feel that obvious that I'm winning here. Although Queen H8 and H, I don't know. Again, it doesn't feel like the game is just over. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, but I should at the very least I should have gone for this, right? I'm up a bishop, so why not? And then I'll also have like some discovered checks here too, which is nice. Maybe bishop F8 is an idea, depending on what black does, of course. But all right, yeah, I got very so. I'm a little bit upset that I didn't find all this because I mean this is what I was calculating. I think I got. It wasn't crystal clear in my mind's eye this position, but I got somewhere like this. What about Queen G4 though and pick up the pawn? Is this really so simple? I don't know. Again, I guess it is because I have the passed H pawn here, but this is what I was worried about. And if this is the line I missed, I can live with this because if I saw the line, I just didn't. I couldn't see all the way ahead. In a daily game with 3 days, I should push myself and find this. So it's like obvious what I need to work on. I need to calculate a little bit more advanced in the position. But this is what I was worried about. I was really worried about this G pawn getting rolling here. I'm curious if there's an engine line where I don't have to let black queen. If there's a line where black doesn't have to queen, I'll be upset if I miss that. Yeah. So this also would be a nice time to King E6. Oh, so I don't even have to defend the pawn here. I looked at that also here. B3. Oh, King E6. But okay, King E. I didn't fully get all this. Okay, I looked at something like this though. Bishop F6. Take. King D5. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is maybe beyond my ability level to see all this. Because even after Bishop D8, if Bishop takes, the pawn runs. So. Okay, G5. Oh, it's with a check. I mean, again, I don't feel so sad missing this when I see the lines. To be honest, I mean, I wish I would see everything. To be honest, that's every chess player wishes we could find all the right moves all the time, but this is this is a little bit tricky. I think another one of my main weaknesses is I really try to avoid my opponent getting any counterplay. So like one thing you might have noticed is if like I felt like I was really in control of the endgame. I didn't really feel like my opponent was doing anything active. It felt like I was the only one coming up with ideas. So the fact that my opponent finally had like an aggressive idea probably scared me more than it should have. And again, that's definitely a weakness in my play. It's a weakness that like it's understandable because every single chess player wants to slow down, like limit their opponent's counterplay. That's like there's not a chess player in the world that's any good that doesn't think like that. But you have to know like when your play is faster, and that's something I could definitely get better at. Yeah, it's frustrating to see this. Yeah, I decided to take because again, once I saw I had a losing chance, I just thought, okay, let's bail out here. And there's so many ways to draw this, but the easiest I think is I just put my king on b3 and set up a blockade. So say something like this. Like even in down a pawn, it's totally irrelevant because both my pawns are on light squares. So all I have to do is just literally move my bishop and just don't ever trade the bishop. And my king never has to move. Like if they play b5, I just take with the c pawn. If I take, probably I could take with the a pawn in some lines too, but why give up the passed pawns? And yeah, I don't see any. There's no harm in losing this, but it's pretty. Like when was I winning exactly? I'm very curious when I was winning. Like, am I already winning in this position? Like where did black go wrong? I really feel like I was playing some good chess here. Okay, bishop. So even the engine doesn't really understand this position. Like at first the engine thinks it's pretty, like white's better, but now like the valuation just keeps creeping up over and over again. Is it like my h4? I'm just curious. Yeah, like h4 is the best move. I mean, there's a lot of things I have to be very happy about in this game. I wish I could have converted, of course, but I do feel like I saw a lot of very good moves here. And like I said, the engine doesn't see any real difference between these moves. But I think you have to take with the d pawn here. I don't see why you wouldn't. E6. That's so frustrating. I don't know why I rejected this move. Because yeah, all I have to do is go bishop e5 or something. So frustrating. Bishop e5 and d6. Huh. So frustrating. Yeah, I really was planning to play d6. All those, I guess d6 is also winning, but all right. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I would like to get the tournaments up and running again. So if there's any interest, we could definitely do that again. I'm looking forward to a lot of you coming back from vacation, missed having you in chess class while you've been gone, and hope you enjoyed the game analysis. Just it's a little bit of a sample about how much work you got to put into your games to beat a good player like Eric, and I was unsuccessful in doing that in this game. But it was a great game. I always really like playing Eric. He's a super nice guy, which makes it fun. And yeah, hopefully the class, hopefully everyone learned a little bit from this. So yeah, have a nice day, and thanks for watching.